Hey, it's Abadesi, founder and CEO at Hustle Crew, and in this video, I want to share some strategies for discussing race at work. These days, it's very difficult for us to remove our identity, our background, and our lived experience from the way that we show up at work. That's because often events that are unfolding in the world around us are directly impacting us and our community. For example, in 2020, when Black Lives Matter was trending all over the world following the tragic murders at the hands of the police of people like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, it was really difficult for me to not think about how my community was being let down by systems that were created to protect us. It was really difficult for me to show up in my team and be excited about sales calls or client proposals when at the back of my mind I was thinking about these horrific injustices. But sadly, injustice is happening in the world every day. And in order to create an inclusive environment where everyone in your team feels safe and feels like they can thrive, it's really important that we build the courage and capacity to discuss identity, like race, at work. So, here are some things I'd like you to bear in mind as you continue in this journey to be a better ally and create an inclusive culture in your team. The first thing I want you to do is challenge stereotypes that you have observed in the media. If you were to close your eyes and think of the last time you saw a Black person represented in the media, it might be a very stereotypical archetype, whether they were a bad guy in an action movie, or whether they were an athlete in a sports film, or a pop star in a music video. These are just a fraction of the roles that Black people can play in modern society today. Unfortunately, when we tend to put people in stereotypes that we've seen in the media, we can project a lot of those stereotypes onto the people that look like them that we see every day. Just because someone's really tall and black in your office doesn't mean they're good at basketball, okay? Jokes to one side. It's really important that we actively challenge stereotypes in the media because the media, let's face it, is pretty outdated. And they don't really go to the effort of casting people in roles that challenge stereotypes and challenge representations. So this rule applies not just for Black people, but any underrepresented group. People who are Muslim, people with disabilities, people from more working class backgrounds. Don't assume anything about someone based on their identity trait. Think about it. How would you feel if someone took one glance at you and immediately projected your interests, your background, and your preferences just by virtue of that one single look? So challenge stereotypes all the time. Be open-minded and let people show you who they are. Let people reveal themselves to you. I always say that there's probably more that makes us the same than different. And this applies across races too. So really lean into that. The second thing that you should do when it comes to discussing race at work is do the work of diversifying your content and don't put the burden of education onto people with a different race than you. So whether you listen to podcasts, watch TikToks or YouTube videos, just remember that you can take that step of following content creators of a different race and through them learning more about their experiences or just challenging your own assumptions and stereotypes about people with that background. It's really important that you don't expect someone with lived experience to educate you about that lived experience. That's a really unfair emotional burden to put on them. And quite frankly, people are showing up to work to do their work, not teach you how to be a better ally. That's what Hustle Crew's for. So make sure that you are doing the work if you're really serious about this. Watch those movies, watch those clips, listen to those podcasts, and go on that journey yourself. In fact, why don't you be the person in your social group around people of your race to spark these education journeys and take your peers along with you? You can even practice having conversations about race with people of the same race where the stakes are a bit lower before you then bring that energy into the team and discuss with people of a different race where the stakes are a bit higher and feelings could be hurt. That brings me on to my next point. When it comes to discussing race, it's really important that you focus on the impact of your words, not the intention. It doesn't matter if you had really good intentions, if the outcome is you've really hurt a teammate, you've made them feel unsafe, you've made them feel like they can't really trust you anymore, they can't feel comfortable around you. It's really important that you work backwards from what you want to achieve. If there's someone on your team who's the only person of that race and you want to make them feel welcome, work backwards from that. Involve them in that conversation. Hey, what can we do for this upcoming team social that would make you feel welcome? I want to make sure we pick an activity that resonates with all of us, that we're all excited about. that brings me onto my final point. It's really important, if you are someone who has privilege, to own that and recognize that and not shy away from it. Even though I am a Black person, I'm a Black and Asian person. And in a world that's plagued by colorism because of white supremacy, I have to recognize the fact that I have light skin privilege. There are many of my dark-skinned sisters and friends who wouldn't have got the same opportunities as me or attention as me just by virtue of the fact that they are a different shade of brown. And that's something that's really important for me to recognize. Also, because my hair is of a certain texture, it's been easier for me to find the hair products that I need and also, get hairstylists to cut my hair no matter where in the white Western world I happen to be. The same is not true for some of my sisters with coilier, curlier hair. I own that privilege and I recognize that, and I make sure that I am aware of that as I move through the world. I hope you've enjoyed this explainer on how to discuss race at work.